From what you heard today at the summit, what do you think the big outcomes will be, and how will that reflect on your industry as with the major economic force here in the province?
Sure. I think the biggest outcome of the conference today was the dialogue between people, and a lot of good points were made. The nurses aggressively made some points. Gil McGowan made some points from the labor point of view. Some of us from industry talked about the need to improve the efficiency of programs, but I think a lot of us recognize that increased sources of revenue are important. And Jack Mintz and Leo DeBever and their comments about different tax structures, I think a lot of things have to be on the table right now, and that I think is one of the great outcomes of the events today.
It seemed that looking at royalties was kind of something that was put down by most of the economists, most of the experts. Do you foresee any changes to royalties coming up?
Well, I think people really need to recognize the fact, and the fact is that for every extra dollar that you collect through the royalty system, it has a direct negative effect on activity levels out there, and it causes people to abandon older wells sooner. It causes people not to drill new wells or to connect them for production. There's no question there's negatives when you have a royalty system. I would argue that Alberta, as our basins mature and we've moved more into shale gas and things like the oil sands, we should really look more at income tax solutions to collection from the industry. This is done in countries like Norway, for example, where they have a very high tax rate, but it doesn't apply to revenue or to royalty barrels. It applies to your income at the end of the day. So that if you're working hard trying to scour an old field and not making a lot of profit, the royalty doesn't stand in your way. I think we've got to look at all of those kinds of things.
And so if I ask you just to speak for your industry for a second, the outcome or the discussion that you were hearing, is that a positive thing for the energy sector in Alberta?
Yeah, I think the immediate positive thing for the energy sector is that government and the broad citizens of Alberta, I think, increasingly recognize that just going for a higher royalty take is not the right answer for our economy. I think Albertans are starting to recognize the real benefit of the oil industry comes from the employment and the economic activity and the procurement and the manufacturing that supports that industry. And a lot of Alberta's revenue comes from income taxes on individuals that work in that industry and on service suppliers and others to that industry. So to me, that's the biggest benefit to the upstream sector, is that people start to realize and appreciate the other ways that we can do this, rather than just raising royalty rates and thinking that's the only benefit to Alberta.